Today, we're going to be ranking every single underdog for the almighty stacked UFC 322 this weekend, my boys. If I'm going to put a fighter up in the S tier and the A tier, obviously I think there's great value on them, and they have a really good chance of getting it done. And if you're down in the C tier and the D tier, the opposite, okay? Starting off with the first one we got here, coming from the Into the Spider-Verse movies himself, man. It's Michael Morales. I'm going to put Morales in the A tier. Originally, Brady was the underdog. I thought there was that crafty plus money on him, but I can go fuck myself, okay? Morales is now the underdog here, and I genuinely think he does have a really good chance to get it done, but there are some worrying components to the fight. Like, I could see Brady, if he applies a heavy enough pressure and is really doing a good job of backing Morales against the fence, not really allowing much time for him to get comfortable on the feet, and Brady is just kind of able to efficiently get these takedowns when he wants and where he wants them, man, and he's able to control and dictate not only the pace and flow of the fight, but where it goes. I could see that being concerned for Morales. Morales has never fought a grappler. I feel like that's on the level of Brady. And Brady's ranked number 2 in the goddamn world, coming off a good win streak. I could see him carrying away to a title shot if he's able to efficiently get some kind of submission, which I think Brady is going to be hunting for here. He knows that he needs either damage or he needs a finish. And for someone like Morales, who obviously is going to want to keep this standing and banging and has the power to knock out Brady in round 1, 2, or 3, regardless of any time of the fight, I do think that Brady, man, if he's able to get comfortable with these takedowns and is able to just efficiently get after it immediately in the fight, Morales might not have dick for him on the ground. I could see him getting submitted, but that's assuming that also Morales' takedown defense and how he's going to look in the scrambles just ain't going to be on the level of Brady, which we just don't know. Morales, just like how Brady used to be, is one of these undefeated prospects on the rise who on paper is an excellent fighter, but we haven't really seen him tested against that true in their prime top 5, top 7 level contender. And I think Morales has a bunch of advantages to get it done regardless though, man. He is riding the undefeated momentum, which might come to hurt him because he hasn't had to experience that loss like Brady, but regardless, he's riding that momentum. He's long, rangy. He clearly has the athleticism advantage. He clearly has the striking advantage and just the power, man. Morales could find the chin, but I feel like there's times he does get a bit too reckless, and I feel like he doesn't worry too much defensively, and he's able to get caught with big shots in his own right. So Morales, he has a good chance of getting this one done. I'm going to put him in the A tier. He clearly has the striking advantage, the power advantage. I could see him just marching down Brady. I could see his takedown defense holding up, and if it really is a stand and bang battle, by all means, I do think Morales should be able to knock him out or at least piece him the hell up for 3 rounds, but it is still worrying. That's why I can't put him in the S tier because there's not too much great value on him because it's practically a pick 'em fight, and I could see Brady just being too good of a wrestler. We just don't know, but I'm going to put Morales in the A tier. Could get it done, but definitely a lot of things to be concerned about, okay? Moving on to the next one we got here, man, in the main event, Jack Della Maddalena. I'm going to put JDM in the S tier because I love the value on him, man. Even as someone who's not picking him, like, he's growing as an underdog. He's a plus 225 from what I'm looking at right now. And, dude, everybody and their mothers is saying that this is one of the best 50-50 fights we've ever seen. And when you look at the betting odds, it doesn't exactly represent that. But if you know, you know, okay? JDM, by all means, has a really good chance of getting this one done. There's a reason why this fight is so unpredictable. It's not just because, the question marks of Makhachev moving up to 170, which, by the way, he looks like a little Dagestani Hulk. He's looking swole the fuck up for this fight specifically. But regardless of that, like, I can see JDM just being a much better fit for the weight class, more accustomed there, having the clear striking advantage. And if his takedown defense and how he looks in the scrambles is that good against Bilal Muhammad, who is stylistically really similar to Islam Makhachev, but just without the finishing ability, and I just don't think is strong of a wrestler, I do think that JDM could be able to just piece up Makhachev on the feet and is really just able to get up efficiently from the takedowns quick, not let Makhachev take the back for very long, especially not get submitted. And really, man, if this fight is just playing back and forth on the feet, and if JDM's takedown defense looks as good as it did against Bilal, it's a really rough night for Makhachev. So because of that, I am going to put JDM in the S tier, but there is an argument to put him a little bit lower here. I could see Makhachev just efficiently getting like a 2nd or 3rd round submission as easily as I could see JDM getting like a 2nd or 3rd round knockout. That both those guys have the advantages over the other, but like for JDM, man, clearly is going to have the stand-up advantage. Clearly is going to have that power advantage. His takedown defense has improved so much with Craig Jones, and in general, like for Makhachev, it could be worrying because this is the first time that Makhachev has had to fight a fighter younger than him in genuinely years. So I could see that working to JDM's advantage as well, who's just getting started with his prime now, baby. You know what I mean? So overall, I'm going to put JDM in the S tier. There's so many reasons why this fight is so 50-50. Even as someone who's going to probably be picking Makhachev, still a lot of reasons to be worried, okay? No matter who you're picking for this main event, you should be worried about it, all right? Moving on to the next one we got here, man. Rodolfo Vieira. I'm going to put Vieira in the B tier. I do think there's some solid value here, but I'm not going to lie, y'all. Like some prime Joey Diaz when he's talking about old man Stipe, like, oh, he's planted the fucking seed. He's planted the fucking seed. I feel like the UFC, I did not need to do that. I feel like the UFC is planting the seed of Bo Nickel getting some crazy win here, maybe some knockout in the first half of the fight, or maybe he's just efficiently out grappling a guy who is so good on the ground like Rodolfo Vieira. So then we're all talking about Bo the next day, especially now he's on the prelim, like, oh man, Bo Nickel is that good. Oh man, like Vieira, man, you don't just do that to Vieira, folks. So I could see Bo Nickel really winning over the fans, and I could see this being a step down in competition compared to RDR, to where Bo Nickel is able to clearly be able to win this one. But regardless, there's a lot of problems I can see Vieira representing. I do think he's going to suffer from like a striking disadvantage here. Specifically, he's going to rely on the grappling, which going against somebody like Bo, who the bread and butter is the wrestling, I could see it being concerning. But overall, if the fight really does play out on the feet, I could see Bo catching him with one of the nasty overhand rights that was able to 30-27 Paul Craig. Vieira, he is a BJJ specialist. He has a really good submission game, and in general, he's a really good grappler, okay? His takedowns are slick. He's got a mean arm triangle specifically for his submissions, and in general, I feel like these two, I'm very curious to see how the scrambles go, and I want to see what business Vieira is going to do to Bo Nickel on the ground, because again, I don't think he's going to want to play it out on the feet, but if he really is just a level above Bo, especially in that mixed martial arts type of grappling, which we've seen Bo kind of struggle with because he's so used to the big old USA wrestling, then we're going to have to see how it goes, man. Vieira's sitting right now at a plus 200. I do think that there's some solid value on that because he's continuing to grow, but I'm not going to lie, it's not one of the underdogs that I think has like a too good chance of getting it done, but it's not bad either. I could totally see Vieira getting the upset. There's a lot of people picking him, and in general, I could see his grappling just being a level above Bo's, to where Bo's just not ready for it still yet, man. And then we're going to have to go back to the Apex drawing room, but regardless, I do think there's a reason why Bo's growing as a favorite, and I don't just think it's because the odds makers love to love him and glaze him. I think it's because this guy should and could be able to get it done, but Vieira presents a lot of problems to where I'm going to put him in the B tier. I could see him getting it done. I just don't think it's the most likely outcome on the card, okay? Moving on to the next one we got here. Eric McConico, who's sitting right now as, I believe, the biggest underdog at the card here. I'm going to put him in the D tier. By all means, my brothers, like, he should lose this fight. I understand that Suzuki Ariev, he was getting pieced up by Tim Nolan, who isn't exactly the greatest striker in the world, and he was moving up a weight class, and he was taking it just on just amount of short notice as Suzuki Ariev was. So the fact that he was able to piece him up, you could say, like, okay, Suzuki Ariev, I keep botching the hell out of his name, but this guy can get exposed in general in the UFC. He can get pieced up on the feet against someone who's not the craziest level of competition. So maybe he shouldn't be that big of a favorite. Maybe he can lose this one to McConico, who people forget, man. He's coming off a win over Cody Brundage, who was able to get wins. So it's weird how that whole thing works. Like, by all means, like, McConico, we all thought he was going to get released if he ended up losing to Cody Brundage anyways. But he's still here in the UFC, and he did look good in that fight in general. So I feel like I got to put him in the D tier regardless, though, because even though he did look solid in that fight, even though he is coming off of a win by all means, even though Suzuki Ariev was getting pieced up in his last fight, how did that one end? You know what I mean? Like a round 2 finish, and in general, I feel like there's a reason why that dude is such a massive favorite. I feel like he's going to have a striking advantage. I feel like he's going to have a wrestling advantage. He's just a big athlete for the weight class in general, and I feel like he has so many weapons to get this one done, and especially the fact that he's not taking it on 4 days' notice this time. By all means, I think McConico should lose this one, so I'm going to put him in the D tier. Like, don't get me wrong, he can get it done, but I'm struggling to find just some advantage he has here, or just some crafty way he's going to pull through to like a 29-28. You know what I mean? So I feel like he's suffering from a lot of disadvantages here. With all due respect, I got to put him in the D tier, okay? Moving on to the next one we got here, Gerald Meerschaert, GM3. I'm going to put GM3 in the C tier. Another one where I don't think it's too likely. Like, especially I think that he's the second biggest underdog on the card. Could be wrong about that, but GM3 sitting at a plus 290. He does have, you could argue, the grappling advantage here, but Dawkins especially, man, like, most of his wins come from submissions, and the knockout that he got, the mean right hand that he got over Michel Pereira, man, now he's becoming more well-rounded. He's long and rangy for the weight class, and I feel like he's going to have that power advantage. He's going to have that nice pop behind his shots that's necessary super necessary to take out GM3, who, listen, man, we love GM3 and we love all the wars he's put on for us, and we love that he's consistently been an underdog that's able to get these crafty wins. But dude, by all means, like, he does get caught with big shots and he does get sent flying to the mat, like, a lot of the time, and he's coming off a rough knockout to Mikel Olasejczak. GM3, it just seems like a rough matchup for him because Dux is a guy that probably can meet him in the grappling head-to-head, and he's a guy that is clearly going to have the power advantage over a guy like GM3, so it's a rough matchup for GM3, but I can see him just showing a bit more of that UFC level experience. He's probably fought a better overall level of competition to where I could see him, GM3, getting another upset. Like, he's consistently an underdog, and he's still able to get a lot of wins. Not a lot of wins, but he's able to get these wins, okay? He has a lot of experience overall, but with that, man, comes so much damage and so much losses and such a lack for momentum to where GM3, I could see him maybe out-grappling him. I could see him maybe getting some kind of upset submission here, but it is very unlikely. I feel like it's probably going to end via our early Dawkins KO or overall Dawkins just piecing him up on the feet, and he's able to keep it standing. I'm going to, unfortunately, with a heavy heart, put GM3 in the C tier here, okay? Moving on to the next one, dude. Leon Mumblemouth Edwards. This is the fight I've been going back and forth the most about on this card. Main event included, okay? But regardless, I'm going to put Leon Edwards in the A tier. I think Leon has a really good chance to get it done, to be honest with you, okay? The problems with it, though, is that Edwards, he's losing all momentum in the world, okay? He's 0-2 in his last two, and he's already inactive as is, so that definitely doesn't help him. And I get he's finally getting to fight a striker, but it's a striker who's as powerful as Prates, because Leon never been knocked out, but Prates, man, he was able to do that to Jeff Neal, someone who's never been knocked out. First guy to knock him out. He was able to do that to Li Jingliang, someone who's never been knocked out, and he knocked him out. So Prates has the power to be the first guy to ever knock out someone in their career. And for Edwards, even though he's fought very high levels of competition and still never got knocked out, I can see Prates being the first guy to do it. So don't get me wrong, there are a lot of things to be concerned about for Edwards. On top of the fact that, like, Nate Diaz is hurting him and almost taking him out of there. Bilal Muhammad is rocking him and legitimately hurting him in their fight, okay? So Edwards' chin, it's sus, my boys. It's very worrying, but it's still always able to hold up. Like, I get that Prates is that different level of power, but I'm putting Edwards in the A tier because he has the wrestling advantage if he needs it. And in general, I feel like we are forgetting how good of a fighter Leon Edwards is, man. Like, it's a style, too, that I feel like can be very built to take out a guy like Prates. He's heavily on the back foot. He makes it very hard for guys to get their offense going. And for somebody like Prates, who isn't exactly too good of a pressure fighter, he kind of relies on getting that crazy knockout and just, like, don't get me wrong, this actual stand-up, the actual striking, the actual Muay Thai is fantastic. Very versatile and powerful on the feet. And again, he's coming off a great win over Jeff Neal, but I just think that he lacks the necessary pressure to be able to just steal these rounds away from Leon and then even just hunt him down and find that knockout that he needs until maybe it's like an Ian Gary situation and he's kind of waiting until that third or final round, whatever it is. It was the fifth for Gary, but I could see Prates, man, if he's not able to efficiently just march down Edwards to control the pace of the fight, I could see Edwards just stealing away these rounds, man. Like, he's so good on the back foot. He's so good at not getting finished and just taking away these rounds to where I could see Leon definitely getting hurt in moments. I could see Leon definitely coming up short in general. But, dude, he's finally getting a striker. And Leon as a whole, man, he's a good counter striker, which I feel like could be a perfect style going against Prates, who's someone who's just so heavily hunting for that knockout. Don't get me wrong, he doesn't force it. It never feels forced. It kind of just, it happens. But regardless of that, man, I could see Prates just letting these rounds slip away from him. And even if Edwards wanted to mix in the takedowns, he does have that option. Because if Ian Gary, for the most part, he was unsuccessful at getting down Prates, but people forget, man, he was still able to take him down a couple of times regardless of that. So, and I would say that Edwards has been proven to be a better wrestler than Ian Gary, because listen, Ian Gary, he was able to take down Prates. He was able to take the Bekashovka, but at least Edwards has legitimately taken down like former champions or title challengers, okay? So regardless, I could see Edwards getting this one done. It's the striker matchup he's been itching for, and I like this value on him a lot, man. He's sitting right now at a plus 180, so I might take those odds. I'm going to put Edwards in the A tier, okay? We truly might be people forget Manning how good of a fighter he really is, all right? Moving on to the next one we got here, Zhang Weili, man. If it's not your favorite female fighter, it should be, okay? And I'm going to put our lady in the S tier here, okay? This is something where I don't see too much value on her because it's practically a pick'em fight, but in terms of a fighter that I think is a really good chance of getting the upset and getting it done, Zhang Weili is it, man, okay? I could see her really surprising us in the wrestling. I could see her piecing up Shevchenko on the feet. I know how good of a fighter she is. I can see her having that stand-up advantage here. Whereas Shevchenko, man, she's going to these super close decisions against Beneil Dariush, and she's putting on these stinkers against Alexa Grasso in the trilogy, to where I think that this isn't a prime Shevchenko anymore. I feel like she definitely is falling off. She definitely is the older fighter here. Well, actually, no, she's only older by a year here, okay? But whatever the hell it is, Zhang Weili is someone that looks in their prime. She's literally putting on some of the best performances she ever has, whereas Shevchenko, like I said, still fighting a similar level of competition, but she's looking worse, arguably, than she ever has in years, other than the actual Alexa Grasso loss. And at least she was kind of winning that fight regardless of that before she got submitted. So at the end of the day, I'm going to put Zhang Weili in the S tier. I could really see her surprising a lot of people. I could see her getting that upset. And overall, I could see her getting maybe even a finish. God forbid. So let's hope for it, man, okay? I think Shevchenko is just lacking all momentum. And I think that this is a matchup to where these girls are so goddamn good, skill for skill. And they're both kind of facing like these jobbers, to where now they're actually getting a real high-level test. And I think that age and momentum and like how these performances are looking does matter in the grand scheme, to where I'm going to go with Zhang Weili here to put her in the S tier, all right? Moving on to the next one we got, dude. Beneil Dariush. Sitting right now at a plus 160. I'm going to put him in the B tier. I think that if you are picking Beneil Dariush, you're very concerned about how the first round specifically is going to go. Because, dude, if Money Moicano was cracking you and knocking you down the first round, on top of the fact that Oliveira was able to actually knock him out in the first round, Arman Tsarukyan knocked him out in the first round, I feel like Beneil's chin, man, has genuinely been his kryptonite lately. And on paper, man, he should be able to win this fight. He does have the grappling advantage, and that prime Beneil Dariush would be able to hold his own in the striking exchanges going against BSD, who is lacking in the defense department. His hands are very low consistently. He always is getting caught with big shots, even when he's winning. And on top of the fact that, especially for the lightweight division, he is one of the more slow fighters. So I could see a prime Beneil Dariush just really taking this one away and just being able to out-grapple him when he wants, and being able to maybe even get some kind of knockout or knockdown on BSD, who can be chinny at times. But this is the current Beneil Dariush, where I am going to put him in the B tier, and he does suffer from just having a really rough chin. I could say one of the worst chins we got in the UFC right now, and I'm not trying to take away from Beneil's skill level. There's a reason why he's in B and not D, because I can see him just surviving the early storm and pressure that BSD is going to present. I mean, BSD, he is a heavy pressure fighter. He has a very high finishing rate. I can see him just marching down Beneil and being able to find that knockout. And I mean, I'm talking about how Beneil has the grappling advantage, but Benoit in his own right has some underrated wrestling. I get he got 10-8'd in the first by Moicano. I get that he is kind of prone to getting picked up and put down, but regardless of that, he's able to show levels in the grappling against a guy like Mauricio Ruffi, who was probably going into that fight knowing he had to keep it standing, and Benoit was still able to whip him around and get that submission, okay? So I don't think Benoit is a bad grappler, but Beneil, by all means, can just go out there, and if he efficiently is just shooting for his life and just trying to put all emphasis on dragging Benoit to the mats, I can see Beneil surviving the storm, not allowing any time on the feet for Benoit to get comfortable and get going and find all the right shots, to where I can see Beneil winning a stinker of a 30-27 or a 29-28, but I think that it's just so worrying that Benoit is so aggressive, so explosive, and just has that power to knock out Beneil at any time in the fight. Even if Beneil is ragdolling him for most of the fight, all it takes is those last 2 minutes, 1 minute of the fight, and Benoit can knock him out. So that's why I'm going to put Beneil in B and not higher, but there is some good value on him here, and there are a lot of people going with him. So Beneil at a plus 160, I'll put in the B tier, okay? Moving on to the next one we got here, Cody motherfucking Haddon. People forget about Cody Haddon, man, and I don't blame him. He's been inactive for, I believe, like 13 or 14 months, but I feel like he has a legitimate chance to get this one done, okay? I'm going to put Haddon in the B tier. If you haven't seen Haddon fight, man, very good on the feet. And in general, he's going to have the grappling advantage here. So I could see him just taking down Wellmaker, I mean, throughout the fight. Wellmaker, we haven't really seen him tested on the ground. He's got a mean check right hook. And in general, the power on the feet is nasty. He's just clean in general. People are calling him the next O'Malley and the next Peyton Talbot, which I think it's funny because both those guys are still in the UFC. I feel like people just kind of hop around on different hype trains all the time. But Wellmaker, man, he should be able to get this one. He can get this one done. He has the striking and power advantage. But even then, man, Haddon, regardless, is a good striker. He has very high volume on the feet, and he has so many weapons to throw. He's very versatile, and he's so fast to where I could see him piecing up Wellmaker and then mixing it in with the grappling to where he really is efficiently taking over. He's able to mix it up on the feet, make Wellmaker uncomfortable, back him up against the fence, and then efficiently shoot for these takedowns to where Wellmaker, I could just see these rounds slipping away from him, maybe even getting submitted, but I do think Haddon, I'm going to put him in the B tier and not higher because Wellmaker, again, like he does have that power and he's able to hold his own probably in the striking exchanges with a guy like Haddon. And maybe his takedown defense and how he's going to look in the defensive grappling is good enough for the level of wrestler that Haddon is. You know what I mean? So I think it's going to take maybe one of these daggy wrestlers, brother, or somebody like that who it's their bread and butter to really just submit Wellmaker and just ragdoll him on the ground. But again, Haddon at least has been proven to where we know he can mix it up on the ground, and he's already goddamn a marauder on the feet, okay? So it is a very dangerous matchup for Wellmaker, so I am a bit worried in that, but regardless, I think Haddon does suffer from a couple of disadvantages here. He's suffering from the height and reach disadvantage. I feel like he's suffering from the speed advantage and the power advantage to where if Wellmaker's takedown defense holds up, I feel like he can find the chin of Haddon because Wellmaker's still undefeated and Haddon has tasted that defeat, and it wasn't even in the UFC, so who the hell knows? But again, Australia has produced such good fighters lately, okay? And they're riding the high to highs, and Haddon is from that region, okay? So I could see him again carrying that momentum, especially the same card as JDM, okay? People forget, man, but regardless, I am going to put Haddon in the B tier. I think there's things to be concerned about, but he does have a pretty solid chance to get this one done, man, okay? Moving on to the next one we got here, Roman Kopylov sitting right now at a plus 140. I'm going to put Kopylov in the B tier. Like, I don't have too many reasons to not put him in the S and the A tier, but like, as someone who's picking Rodriguez most likely, I just feel like Rodriguez is going to be the more well-rounded fighter, more weapons to get it done. I feel like Kopylov is more dynamic. I feel like he's faster. I feel like maybe on paper he is just the better striker. His kickboxing is excellent, but he is prone to getting out-valium and just out-pieced up by a guy like Paulo Costa. And he can get taken down and submitted by a guy like Fluffy Hernandez. So for Gregory Rodriguez, who he has nasty power on the feet, he's long and rangy. He's just big and bulky and long and rangy for the weight class. He's like the world's craziest fusion dance. But regardless, I think that he has that nasty power and the threat of the takedown to where I can't put Kopylov in S or A, but by all means, Kopylov can get it done, man. Kopylov is quick. Kopylov is dynamic. And the fact that this is just going to be, for the most part, I believe, a striker versus striker battle. I feel like both these guys are going to aim for that kind of knockout or just standout performance on the feet. I can see that thriving for a guy like Kopylov. I'm going to put Kopylov in the B tier. Has a solid chance to get it done. He has a lot of weapons on the feet. But Rodriguez just has that nasty power. He has that height and reach advantage. He can mix in the takedowns if need be. So that's why I'm going to keep Kopylov a B, but by all means, he can get this one done. It seems like yesterday we were talking about him being like the next big prospect on the rise for the division, and now he's kind of fallen off a bit, but who the hell knows, man, okay? Striker versus striker here. It's a great fight, but I'm going to put Kopylov in the B tier, all right? Moving on up next to Vyacheslav Borschev, and I'm not even going to lie to y'all. I didn't even know this one was happening here, but he's taking on Mateus Camilo, 0-1 in the UFC, and right now he's sitting at a plus 135. I'm not trying to stack up the B tier here like cops working on it like the first Dunkin' Donuts, but I'm going to put him in the B tier as well here. Borshev's one away from being cut from here, okay? The UFC in general, and I feel like him via fighting for his career, we might see the best out of him, but anybody with just a smidge above average wrestling, they seem to get the better of Borschev, man. Like, he's losing in all sorts of ways here. He's getting 30-27. He's getting submitted left and right, and I feel like he's just losing all momentum in the world. He's 1-4 in his last 4, but still, we're scraping the bottom of the barrel here. Camilo is 0-1 in his... 0-1 in the UFC in general, and even though he is coming off a loss, he didn't look all bad in his fight. He was capable of getting a couple of takedowns in, but Camilo, man, he's been submitted multiple times in his overall career in his own right. We don't really know if he is that UFC level, where at least Borschev, he's gotten a couple of wins, a couple of knockouts, so I will say that he does probably have the power advantage. Whether he's winning or losing, he does have that UFC experience, so Borschev, there's not much that stands out in his game. He kind of is one of the bottom of the barrel fighters at the moment, which is unfortunate for him. But in general, I feel like this is somebody who we don't really know if he is that UFC level yet. So I can see Borschev getting a win, okay? Whether he gets any wins after that, I don't think so, or I don't know. But regardless, this is a level of competition for even someone as Borschev, who's lacking all momentum in the world right now. He's like 8-6 overall. I think that he might be able to keep this fight just standing, maybe. And if he does, maybe he can find that knockout. But otherwise, the reason I can't put him higher is because I could see Camilo being another guy that submits him, and even then maybe pieces him up on the feet. So I'm not really sure here before Borschev. It's looking rough for him, but I am going to put him in the B tier, okay? And moving on to what would be the last one here, it should be Shepe Mariscal, but it could be Pat Sabatini. I'm not rating this fight specifically because I don't know who the underdog is. Like, it's practically a pick'em, and the odds are changing like every single day. Like, Sabatini's the favorite one day. Now, Mariscal's the favorite one day. Now, one of them's the underdog, and it's like, it keeps changing. I don't know who the underdog is, so I genuinely don't know who to rank here specifically, okay? So that's the only fighter specifically I'm not going to be able to rank for this list. But other than that, man, this is every single underdog I just ranked here for UFC 322. I am so beyond excited for the card this weekend. I'm excited to see how many of these underdogs get it done, and I got my predictions video coming out in a day or two for y'all, okay? So if you made it this far in the video, thank you so very much for giving me your time and attention. I truly appreciate it, as always, my boys. Hope you have a good time watching the card this weekend, and please let me know what you think in the comments below. Who are your best underdog picks? Which ones do you think I rated too high or too low? Please let me know in the comments below. Have a good time watching the card, boys. I will see you all next time.